What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the NAV Lab. Today we have Kyle Blanton.
What's up?
Kyle's a real estate agent, also one of my best friends. Was in my wedding. Kyle was a big reason that I got into real estate. Kyle and I met probably like almost 10 years ago now at Decadence, which is a New Year's Eve festival, EDM festival. I think it's the largest New Year's Eve EDM festival in the world. It's here in Denver every year. And through our employing broker, Matt, I came down, was living in Keystone, and drove down, and we had a VIP table with, I think there were like 10 of us there, and met you and Luis, and had a great time 2 nights, and then we've kind of been friends ever since. So Kyle, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So Kyle, where are you from? What happened from little Kyle growing up to getting into real estate?
Yeah, so born in Oklahoma, moved around quite a bit as a child, but settled in Colorado at about the age of 6 in Highlands Ranch, and went to middle school, high school down there, Highlands Ranch High School, Crest Hill Middle School. And then after I graduated high school, left for a few years for college, and then came right back and slowly started making my way north to now where I live in Wheat Ridge. But after college, kind of, fumbled through a few meaningless jobs, did something that I really didn't like, and eventually ended up working in the fitness industry, which is where I met Matt and Luis and quite a few of our current team members. And we all did fitness stuff for about 5 or 6 years, and then Matt was the first to jump ship, left the company along with upper level management to start real estate. And at the time I was so over what I was doing that I decided I would kind of watch Matt and see what happened, and he would be my guinea pig. And he had a lot of success in the beginning, and told me, hey, I think you'd be really good at this. And again, I was ready for a new beginning, to do something else. So jumped in and haven't looked back. It's been an amazing experience.
Cool.
Very lucky.
So what did you study in college?
Was a finance and a double major in finance and marketing, and a minor in Spanish.
Minor in Spanish.
Yeah.
Dude, I did not know you could speak Spanish. That's wild.
No, that doesn't mean I can speak Spanish, but tried to learn it for a while.
Nice. And you went to Miami.
Went to Miami. Yep. The
Cool.
U.
Cool. So one thing that made me think of, you're one of the only agents on the team that come to mind really that's from Colorado. A lot of us moved here, like most people you meet, so Colorado native. Do you think that's helped at all in your career in real estate?
It definitely has helped. To what degree is questionable. But I certainly have had transactions and business from people in my past, so it's definitely been a net gain for me, but certainly not something that I've leaned on to be successful.
So I learned a lot from you in the beginning. When we first started doing real estate, I was at a pretty low place because I got into real estate in a very different way. I didn't really choose when I got started. I got fired from a job, so I drove up to the office. I mean, I was hearing about you and Matt, loving it, and a couple other people, and drove up there, and you were telling, I saw right off the bat you'd get to the office around 9 a.m. and you were there till 10 or 11, 12 every single day. So I wanted to do the same thing. And I remember almost every single day you and I shut that place down, right? We were locking the door and turning the lights off. And I think we both, I learned a lot from you, and I got a lot better at real estate, and in terms of talking to people, at least, right? We were making calls. we would call people till 9 o'clock,
Yeah.
right? And now I look at my, when I do follow up things like that, like if it's like 7, I'm like, oh, it's too late. No one's going to answer. But we were just grinding like 24/7. It was a different ball game.
I think also back then we were just getting, I mean, you would claim so many more leads because you weren't worried about paying for them at the time. And I know now Flex is kind of back to more of what we used to have, but there's more accountability. So back in the day, you would claim as many leads as possible and just shotgun approach, try and get somebody on the on the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, we were making phone calls all the time.
Yeah. All day, every day. Yeah, that was a fun time. I mean, there were people in the office that anytime someone would answer, they would take a shot, or like it was very much like a sales culture, which I think has changed a little bit with how we run business now, but it was a good time.
Well, back when you're getting started, I mean, you're so insanely stoked when you're getting under contract or closing, but when you're 100 deals deep, it's not quite the same level of euphoria as before.
Yeah. I think pressure was higher back then too. I mean, didn't come from a job where I made much money, and then when I would get someone, we were working like $150,000 to $250,000 leads were like the bulk of my closings and leads that I was getting there in the beginning. And if I got a $200,000 person under contract, like that closing was almost 2 paychecks from what I was used to.
Yeah.
And I was stoked, and I think everyone was at the time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But so you came directly from 24, right? And you were a membership manager there.
That's right.
So what did that job entail?
Gym tours and leads appointment shows.
Yeah.
So I was managing a CRM most of the day, and in between managing the CRM, I'm taking guests that are coming into the gym and trying to close them on a membership and training. But I think what I will always remember the bulk of the job being is dealing with leads appointment shows. So we were getting leads from our web-based platform. We had people calling in. You're constantly asking people who are coming to the gym for referrals. But once you're getting all these contacts, you got to follow up with them. So you're making tons of phone calls, you're scheduling appointments, and you're hoping that these people are going to come in and want more than just a free day at the gym. So that was gym life.
You were doing real estate.
Well, I mean, what was amazing about it, and I feel so grateful for, is that the skill set that came from learning how to manage those leads transferred to the Zillow real estate model that we were running so well, because again, it was really just about making as many phone calls as you could, trying to set appointments, i.e. showings or buyer consultations, and then having those people come in and you're not selling them a product, but you're trying to sell them on the the idea of buying a home.
Yeah.
Why they should work with you.
Yep. And we talk about that all the time, right? From 24. I mean, even from the personal training side of it, of calls, appointment showings. And that's why I think a large percentage of our team used to work at 24, because that skill set does translate over so well. I think you were the only person who was a membership manager, though, who came from that side of it. Most everyone was trainers. Maybe Zach was a membership manager. Or...
Off the top of my head, I'm the only membership person I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah, so I probably did a little more phone calls than the rest. But I don't know, were you making cold calls as a trainer?
Yeah, so we get a list of people that did HFCs,
right?
Health and Fitness Consultations, and when we were building our business, we just call those people.
Yeah.
A lot of people would sign up for them and not show up. So you were calling those people. I hated it. I didn't do too much of it, to be honest. I'd work the front desk and just offer people a free health and fitness consultation that day, and then try to sell them training. That's really what they trained us to do. I think that was a little bit easier than just cold calling,
Yeah, cold calling's the worst.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny. A lot of people still cold call. I mean, it definitely is part of the real estate business, at least. Expired listings and that sort of thing. And some people have a lot of success at it.
Yeah, I feel weird because there are so many, or I don't know, so many, but there are a few common methods that I guess more traditional real estate agents use to generate business, and those are things that I have maybe never done, or maybe done it like once or twice and then said, no, I'm just going to go back to the Zillow leads and trying to cultivate a sphere and,
Yeah. Door knocking being a big part of them.
Worst.
I see a lot of homes hitting the market in my neighborhood. 2 houses down just went on the market. And, I think to myself, if I would have just went and met them, told them what I do, maybe that had been in my listing. So in my own neighborhood, it's something I've been considering because I have the in of, hey, I live down the street. I do sell real estate. If you're ever interested in buying or selling, I'd love to help you. If you're ever interested in what your home's worth, I am an expert here. I own 2 houses.
Yeah, I think that could work. And because you're a neighbor, you probably have a bit more immediate rapport. But maybe you should drop by and drop them off a pie.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, what's up? I'm your neighbor.
Kinsey was telling me so Kinsey's my wife, she knows every person in the neighborhood because she walks the dog twice a day. So she literally sees everyone. She
talks to them all?
Talks to them all, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was like, that's dangerous. What are you doing? You're going to get kidnapped. The good thing is most of my properties that I own are pretty close to a school. So they're not able to live within a certain distance of schools.
Very smart.
So there's an elementary school like 100 yards from my house.
That's
so
a real estate pro tip.
Yeah, pro tip. I tell my clients that. Some people love it. Some people hate what I say. So Matt helped someone buy a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I posted their closing photo to our social media. And then the client immediately messages him and says, hey, please take this down immediately. We don't want our roommate to see it because we're not telling them we're moving out. We had a big falling out. We don't want anyone to know. And so I take it down, right? And then like a month later, I get a call from a girl I went to high school with who is a loan officer in Phoenix. And she says, hey, I have a referral for you in Denver. It's my friend from college. She's awesome. Her and her boyfriend, they want to buy a house. Okay, great. So I met up with them, worked with them, helped them buy. And then right before closing, I find out why they, want to buy. And they're like, yeah, our roommates just disappeared on us one day and didn't tell us they were moving out. It was this horrible situation, yada, yada. But I think she actually worked with an agent on your team. And it was the girl who moved out. World. I was like, how does this even happen? Yeah. Such a small world. That's like the only time something like that similar's happened. But the weird part is they were the coolest clients. Like, we're still friends. Like, so I don't know. I never met Matt's clients, and maybe
they were weirdos.
Maybe they were the weirdos. Yeah. Of course. I mean, obviously, I was hearing it from the other side, but I was so confused. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you guys are the coolest. Like, Kinsey and I got dinner with them at Mizu. Like, they were great. So it's just funny how stuff like that happens. Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, maybe that's a question I'll add to the podcast. Like, you ever helped any psychopaths? Like, what's the weirdest client you ever worked with? Yeah. I've had some pretty weird ones. I had one the other day. There's always the client who will like ask you for your commission. and they basically tried to negotiate my commission in after inspection, after everything on the deal.
Really?
They wanted half of my commission.
After you're already halfway through the dirt deal.
Very, very weird situation,
Okay.
right? And I told them no. Flat out, I'm not giving you any of my commission. Like, there's no reason for it at this point, yada yada. Like, everything's good, right?
Yeah.
Cash buyer too. And they got mad. We like hung up on each other, and I forget how it happened. This has been like 4 or 5 years ago. It was
Okay.
very new in my real estate career. Next day, they call me back. They say, hey, we still want to buy the house, yada, yada, right? It's all fine. They ended up giving me a referral after that. Another similar client tried to negotiate my commission. I said no. And then they text me the other day. This is a long time after that. And they say that they want to rent out their the condo that they bought originally, right? It's in the Bovine building downtown. I might give a little too much information, but they asked me to show it to potential renters, and basically just work for them to find a renter, and ask me to manage it for them as well.
Yeah.
And I politely declined.
Interesting.
My question for you is, would you have done it? I mean, would you have tried to negotiate, maybe some sort of payment per showing?
Well, I think a property manager makes like a 10% cut. Do you know?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think they make a 10% cut. I mean, I would be open to the idea of managing property.
Yeah. I mean, I manage my own properties,
Right.
right? So, yeah, I was open to it too. And I talked to Matt about it, and he was like, don't take on the liability.
Okay.
So I guess there is quite a bit of liability managing someone else's property.
Okay.
And the issues that you could potentially run into, because I think the lease becomes with you, right? Even though they're the owner, you're the landlord because you're the property manager.
Okay.
So all those responsibilities fall on you. So I think there might be a situation where, say, there's like a pipe burst or something like that. It is the owner's responsibility to pay for and fix that, but it's your responsibility to get it fixed, and then now you're seeking payment from. There's just a lot of complications, I guess.
Right, yeah, and then you might find yourself in a position where maybe you did get the repair, but the seller doesn't think you did it in a timely fashion, or
Right.
something strange like that.
Yeah. But I was thinking about it. I was like, this seems like an easy way. I could potentially make 10% of their rent. They're gonna. I mean, that could be like $300 a month.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like something that would sync well with what we're doing. You're going to come across people who have investment homes, and if you can offer them property management services, I mean, that's, more money in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll call him up and see
Yeah.
if he found someone. I referred him to whatever website Matt uses to manage his properties. But the other side of it is I do manage my own properties, and I've had like a great experience. There's times like it feels like it's in waves, like 2 weeks of the year, like shit'll hit the fan at every property, and I'm just like, like what the heck.
Yeah.
But besides that, everything typically goes very well. I did kind of tell myself that once I got to 6 rentals, I would hire a property management company and just kind of take that off my plate.
Yeah.
But it's not been bad. I mean, I've had like one of my renters has been in one of my houses for 4 years. He was in another rental before that. Like, he's amazing.
Yeah, that's ideal.
I have, the house down the street. Those people are, not the best. But it's like, hey, a light bulb's out. I'm like, good, go buy a light bulb. Like that's not part of your lease. But yeah, it's very interesting dealing with renters. But another thing that's happening now is I'm starting to help previous renters buy. And then some of my current renters, when they move out, they want to buy a place as well. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's become kind of a, I mean, honestly,
source of
like
business.
One
That's great.
one commission, is the entire income I made the whole time on their rent, right?
Right.
Like, it's really a huge benefit. I mean, maybe that's something I'm going to start looking to do. And when I'm qualifying people to, I don't know if this is discriminatory or not, but like when I'm finding people as renters? Do I want people that I think could be qualified to buy a house, once their lease is up?
Yeah.
I mentioned that to them. Hey, I'd like to offer you this as a rental. Also, I'm a real estate agent. I think you'd be great to purchase a home. Whenever you're ready, love to help you. Yada yada. I'm always like plugging myself in there.
Yeah. Maybe you offer them like a
discount or something.
half off rent for your first month.
Yeah, free rent.
If you put it in writing, you're going to work with me.
Yeah, sign an agency, you get your last month free.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Buy your house, I'll credit you last month back, something. Yeah. Worth it.
Yeah,
for
totally.
sure.
Just isn't allowed.
It's not. Yeah.
No, is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. If you can incent. Like referral fee, but it's like refer yourself, type thing. Yeah. So outside of real estate, Kyle does CrossFit every day.
That's right.
Yeah. You walk to the gym, right?
I do. Yeah, I live like 100 yards from the front door of my gym, so roll out of bed, get my fitness on in the morning.
Yeah. But it's funny, like when we first got into real estate, you and I were working out all the time together. I think we were all pretty serious about fitness at the time. And then myself and some others, we got what we call real estate bod there for a little bit. Because I don't know why, but I just told myself I was just so busy. I just didn't have time to go to the gym. And it seems like really over the past 2 years, gotten back serious in the gym. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. Kind of been taking up a lot of my time on the fitness side of it. But I think as, I've heard this this quote the other day on a podcast, but it's referring to your business. You need to standardize before you can optimize, right? So I think in the first few years of real estate, you're standardizing your practices, right? So every day I'm making my calls, sending texts, emails, I'm doing my follow-up, I'm standardizing my showing process, my setting up showings, my, from under contract, what do I do after closing? Everything is getting standardized in your systems and processes and things that are required by the team. And then you're able to optimize, right? So now you're learning how to be super efficient at these things, right? Maybe it's, you only call your people you haven't got in touch with in 6 months on Mondays, right? And then on Tuesdays, you call your a little bit more active people. And on Thursdays and Fridays, you're calling your people that are, wanting to go see houses, right? And you're not wasting a lot of time on the people who are wasting your time, if that makes sense, or whatever it is. But even with fitness, right? Being able to optimize in our business, I know, you live by Google Calendar, right? You use your Google Calendar?
Yes, my iCal.
Yeah, you use the app. That always throws me off when you open that up. So I just use the webpage for Google Calendar. But I think what happens is every 6 months or so, I kind of redo my calendar, and I realize that I've got way more free time than maybe I should, or maybe I've just gotten more efficient, or I'm less busy or something like that. But finding time for things like going to the gym or going to jiu-jitsu in the beginning seemed to be much, much harder than it is now.
Yeah. Well, back, like you were saying earlier, back in the day, we used to grind.
Yeah.
And not that we don't grind now, but the grind back then was different.
Yeah.
And certainly I have more time because I'm not required to be on the phone all day to be successful anymore. Yeah. So makes sense.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is Zillow's system now. The way we're integrated with people through our CRM, but also through Zillow's CRM, we can see the homes that they're looking at. When we want to reach out, we have a reason to, right? Hey, I saw you were checking out this property. Or if they inquire again, just comes right to you. And then when they, we're not having to take 100 people and make 100 calls. We can now just, claim 10 leads, and at least one of those 10 leads, we're showing homes. And then we're following up with the 9. And a few of those, for a lot of people, do become clients, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little bit longer term, and that falls into that pipeline of the follow-up that you're doing. But it's much, much different and much better. I've been talking about a lot on the podcast of like, the agents that are getting into the industry now don't know what it was like, to have to make all those calls, to deal with all that rejection, whether it's, someone answers, who is this? You tell them, and it's immediately hanging up, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we've been through so many different iterations of how Zillow runs its business with agents, and I think to myself, I wonder, if I was coming in right now, a new agent, would I prefer to have it the way it was when we first got started? Would I prefer to have it when we were paying up front? Would I prefer to have it the way it is now? And I'm not sure. They're all a little bit different. I mean, now I think what's really great is if somebody wants to get started in real estate, you don't need to have any capital really to get going. Whereas when we got started, I had a little savings saved up, and I needed that savings. There was a point in time where I had to borrow money from my mom because I went through that, because I had a little bit of a lull without a deal. And thankfully that all, ended up panning out in a good way. But, for people who don't have some money to kind of sit on and that cushion, it would be really hard to get started and have to pay, $1,000 per lead like we used to.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the worst time to start was probably like 2 years ago, because it was, you paid up front for leads, and then it was so hard to get a buyer under contract. I mean, it's still hard, and it's kind of always been hard, but it was real hard at that time.
Yeah.
When interest rates were 2.5%, and every single person wanted to buy a house. So it was good for filling your pipeline and getting clients, but then doesn't matter because you're getting beat by $100,000 on every offer.
Yeah.
Which was insane. I mean, I got beat by over $100,000 sometimes, and it's just like, we're already offering $50,000 over the list, so you're telling me you have an offer $150,000 over list price, and they're like, yeah, with full appraisal gap, waived inspection, closing in 19 days, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would say starting today, in terms of running a business, starting a business, probably the easiest time out of the time that I've been in real estate. But the skills that we learned since we started, grinding, making the calls, even in our first year of real estate, your first year, my first year, shortly after, it was really hard to get offers accepted then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like learning these strategies to win over the listing agent, to sell your client, right, to them, to sell their offer, to help your client understand what makes a strong offer, being able to learn from the agent what the offers on the table are for, all of those skills, right? Now, when we make a call to a real estate agent, I've made that call thousands of times, right? It's the same conversation every time, and I think that learning the way we did probably sets us apart from a lot of people, especially anyone who started in the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do want to continue being an agent now, you've got to learn those skills very quickly. And those are skills that are very hard to learn, in my opinion, because I'm calling the other person, the other agent, and I'm getting them to spill the tea. You know what I mean? So I've got to build rapport with them. It's not something that you can just learn by taking a class or something like that. I don't think. It's reps. And even, talking to clients, I think, is reps too. And that's something that we got in the beginning, grinding like we did. And yeah, so I think you might be right. When is the best place to start? And it's hard to say.
Yeah, well, I think if people, like the agents who are getting started now, just because of the way the split with Zillow is now, you're just maybe more stressed for more deals. I don't know.
Because you're making, I mean, depends, right? Because if you're paying up front, I mean, the math wise, it's still better now if you're closing at 10%.
Yeah.
But it's getting a lot closer to how that was. I think the pressure's just off from Zillow, but internally, we need to make Zillow happy as a team, so we need to be able to close at a certain percentage. So I think
Pressure's still on.
Pressure's still on, but at the end of the day, right, it's pressure you should be putting on yourself of like, okay, yes, I'm closing 10%, or I can make double the money if I close at 20%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even though the percentage we're paying Zillow changed a little bit, if you're able to close at a higher clip, it's negligible.
Yeah.
Cool. So other than fitness, I know the reason you work out is so you can go enjoy dubstep shows.
So I can bounce around for hours on end. I actually think about that when I'm working out. I'm especially, doing like double unders or something. I'm like, this is really going to make it so that if I need to jump for a few minutes straight, I'm Gucci.
Yeah. So in Colorado, we are lucky enough to have Red Rocks here, arguably the best concert venue in the world. You still think that? You think that's the case?
I have not seen better, but I hear good things about the Gorge.
The Gorge, yeah, that's the one that's in the running. I've never been there. And
I want to go to the Caves.
The Caves, heard that's awesome too.
That looks awesome.
That's in Tennessee, Kentucky?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tennessee.
So it's a venue that's in like a natural cave, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the kind of music that we like to listen to seems a little dangerous in the cave.
You think it might shake something
loose? Something loose, yeah. Stalactite falling on your head. So we're lucky enough to have Red Rocks. A lot of artists, when they come there, they say it's the greatest venue in the world. And they also say that Denver is the bass capital of the world. So we do frequent EDM shows quite a bit. Every year for Kyle's birthday, we spend a couple days at Red Rocks, and it's a lot of fun. Around the 4th of July, Zed's Dead, they come and headline every year, and it's one of the most fun times I think you can have.
Best way to spend the 4th of July.
Yeah, I mean, that speaks to Zed's Dead, right? That's the premiere nights at Red Rocks.
You think they're going to watch this?
Zed's Dead?
Totally.
Yeah. But they get the premiere night at Red Rocks, right? The
Mm-hmm.
premiere nights. They also play in the Capitol during the day. They play at Mission Ballroom the third night that they're here. Like, it's a huge thing. And
it's like 5 shows in 3 days.
Yeah, it's a lot. With my old age, it's hard to keep up a lot of times.
It's because you're not doing your double unders.
I need to get into CrossFit, I think. This year I left to go snowboarding in Mount Hood. Probably should have just stayed and went to the show. Ended up dislocating my shoulder first day.
Oh, then definitely.
It was great. Yeah, so, one thing that I haven't really spoke about on the podcast is a lot of the team is into EDM as well. And a beautiful thing that I learned very quickly, a lot of like the EDM world, it's about partying, it's about having a good time, but I wouldn't say there's a lot of like really successful people who are part of that scene. Maybe it's because there's a lot of younger people in that scene as well, but it seems that we have been able to kind of cultivate a crew of friends who are all highly successful, but also love to go to music festivals, go to shows. And it's very interesting to me how, like, there might be a stigma around, and maybe I just put my own bias on it, myself, of, if you're into that stuff, you're probably not successful in your personal life. And I love that our crew is, proves that wrong.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to why you think that is?
I don't think that we purposefully created that type of community. I was exposed to the upper echelon of the electronic music community when I was able to go on Holy Ship.
Holy shit.
Holy Ship. This
What is that?
It's a rave festival, folks. And well, you know
It's
what
like
happened?
it's like a church festival.
It's a rave festival, and what is interesting about it is just that it's a bit more expensive than kind of your run of the mill show or your run of the mill festival. So that tends to weed out some people who may not be able to make it to those events.
And it's on a boat.
It's on a boat.
It's a cruise.
It's cruise. It's the only kind of cruise worth going on. If you've ever been on a regular cruise, normie cruises are lame.
Yeah, I've never been on one, so they call the Holy Ship people ship fam.
Yeah, it's a cult.
I'm a land fam with the rest of the normies.
Yeah, but it sounds kind of bad to say. Obviously, having money does not necessarily make you successful, but going to an event that is cost prohibitive does certainly weed out some of the people who maybe can't afford it because they don't have their shit together.
Yeah, and I guess that's not what I meant by successful. I mean, successful is objective, right? Whatever job or whatever.
Subjective.
Yeah. Is it? Subjective. It's subjective, and so is the word objective. It's also subjective. So yeah, not what I meant, but I think what I meant was a lot of people in that scene, I guess our friend crew, when I look around, I see people that I think are successful.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I meant, is everyone is crushing it in their daily lives, and then they find an escape by going to a show, right?
Yeah.
That's a ton of fun, and we all are, very like-minded people who grind every day, so they can do things like that. And I think you're a perfect example of that, right?
Sure.
Having a very highly successful real estate business, and then also being able to go to shows, a couple nights a week, go to festivals all the time. I mean, just this year, how many music festivals do you think you went to? I mean, I know you're about to go to Croatia for a festival.
That's next year, but yeah, I think this year we're on like 3 or 4.
Yeah, Shambhala in Canada.
EDC in Vegas. Trying to remember what we did in April.
If every month.
Yeah, there's always something going on.
Yeah, but I love that Kyle is able to do those things and still run his business, and a lot of people treat themselves in different ways, and I think that's really what you love, right? So that's what you treat yourself with.
Yeah, I was wondering like what I would end up talking about on this podcast, and it's been real estate, fitness, and music related things, which is what I expected.
Yeah. Well, that's
me.
That's you, right?
That's me.
Yeah. We haven't talked about gambling or the UFC, which I think we're both gonna stop doing. Don't ask Kyle.
Now that we got our money back,
yeah,
I'm back in, baby.
Don't ask Kyle and I for gambling advice when it comes to betting on the UFC, because we will bet with our brains and not with
our hearts.
I guess we need to use our hearts from now on. I mean, who knows?
Hardest thing to bet on.
Yeah, it definitely is. Cool. So to kind of wrap it up here, one question I've been asking people when they've been on is a question that I think about a lot because it tends to keep happening to me. But what's the weirdest thing you've seen on a show?
The weirdest thing I've seen on a showing.
And I can kind of give you some examples. Like I've seen weird things where they've had like a bathtub built into the floor on the second story because it was like an A-frame house, so they dropped it through the floor.
Yeah.
So then on the first floor, you can see like the bottom of the bathtub sticking out through the floor.
Oh, wow.
And you like step down into it. That was pretty weird.
That's pretty bad. Gosh, I feel like anything I'm coming up with is not going to be as good as that. I mean, it's not like super weird, but I think probably one of my showing traumatic memories is like walking into a house and the owner still being there, just like sitting on the couch, and then also the house just reeking of cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's about the worst thing for me, to have to walk into a room, and then if you spend any time in a room like that, as soon as you leave, that's what you smell like for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So those are always terrible.
You ever had any pet experiences?
Pet
You ever let a cat out?
No pet experiences. What else? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool. Well, I'd love to have you back on, here in a couple months, maybe have you on with someone else. Always an interesting conversation. I think I'd like to talk to you more just about your follow-up. I think on the team you have one of the best follow-ups when it comes to keeping people engaged and things like that, and especially with like Zillow leads, being able to claim a lead a year ago and still be able to work with that person. I've had some people like that too, to just like randomly, hey, you showed me a house 2 years ago, can I go see this house, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because I have particularly great follow-up. It's definitely something I could get better at. Always looking to learn more about. But if anybody wants to work with Kyle to sell real estate, how could someone get in touch with you, Kyle?
Take me to your leader on Instagram.
And how do you spell that? With UR?
Take me, number 2, your leader, LEADR.
And so is that you're talking to aliens here, or what are you talking to?
Yep, that is from one of a song by Walker and Royce. It's a house song, and I don't know. It just sounded cool.
Take me to you later. Sipping on tequila.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I've heard it. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We'll see you in the next one soon. Peace.
Bye.